Pripyat is a Soviet-era city abandoned after the Chernobyl nuclear disaster in 1986. You can still hear the laughter if you walk fast enough. That's what they say. Not real laughter, but the kind that's irradiated, cooked in silence for 40 years until it comes out brittle, like static from an old TV. Pripyat isn't a town anymore. It's a mausoleum of denial. You can practically smell the moment time decided to pack up and leave. The Ferris wheel is the kind of cruel joke only humans could invent. A carnival built for children who never got to ride it. It sits there, rusted and yellow, a crown for the god of abandonment. The dolls in the kindergarten, missing eyes, arms, souls, look like they're still in detention, waiting for permission to die properly. You wander through the apartment blocks, and you start to realize something uncomfortable. This place isn't empty. It's just tired of pretending to be alive. The walls have absorbed too many whispered apologies, too many Geiger clicks. You catch your reflection in a broken window and swear it moves half a second after you do. That's Pripyat's way of saying, "Welcome back, comrade. We missed your radiation." The true horror isn't the disaster. It's the fact that people thought they could live here again. The grass grows through cracks. The trees creep into hallways. Nature gnaws on concrete like it's reclaiming a stolen bone. Pripyat is a living ghost, an open wound with vine for stitches. And if you stand in the main square long enough, you'll feel it breathing, that low mechanical sigh, like the city's reactor heart still trying to beat beneath the ash. Centralia is a nearly abandoned mining town that's been burning underground since 1962. Imagine a town that decided to go to hell and stayed there. The fire beneath Centralia has been eating coal and patience for over half a century. It's like the earth got indigestion and refused to stop burping sulfur. The population went from 1,000 to a handful, the kind of people who don't flinch when their backyard exhales smoke. You walk through Centralia and the ground feels alive, like a sleeping beast breathing under your shoes. The cracks in the road spit steam. The air tastes metallic and old, like pennies and guilt. The highway leading in is broken by sinkholes that look like open mouths mid-scream. And the graffiti, the graffiti is biblical. Demons, warnings, cryptic messages. Welcome to hell. Burn forever. Leave. It's like a diary written by ghosts with spray paint instead of ink. What's fascinating, what unnerving, is that people kept trying to live here. They fought eviction orders, swore the danger was exaggerated. That's human nature, isn't it? We'll deny the apocalypse as long as it's on our property line. Maybe they like the heat. Maybe they like the idea of living somewhere that was literally impossible. Now Centralia exists half in memory, half in myth. The smoke rises like an exorcism that never took. Some say they've seen figures walking in the mist. Coal miners, coughing, carrying tools that glow faintly red. Others say the fire itself is a rhythm, a pulse, a whisper. Personally, I think Centralia isn't haunted by ghosts. I think Centralia is the ghost. A burning soul trapped under America's thin crust of denial, still too stubborn to die. Bodie is an old gold mining town turned frozen corpse of the Wild West. Bodie didn't die. It just got tired of pretending to be rich. Imagine a town that clawed its way out of dust, struck gold, and immediately started rotting from the inside out. The people drank whiskey like it was medicine, shot each other over bad poker hands, and built churches they never used. Now all that's left is wind, and the sound of doors creaking like someone whispering, "Don't leave." The place feels cursed, and not in a metaphorical ghost stories for a tourist way. The Bodie curse is an actual thing. People who steal anything, a nail, a coin, a splinter, report misfortune so intense it feels personal. Accidents, breakups, mysterious illnesses. They end up mailing the stolen items back with apology letters. You can read them. They sound like confessions from a fever dream. "I'm sorry I took the rock. Please stop following me." Walking through Bodie is like trespassing in a photograph that doesn't want you there. The saloon still has chairs mid-fall, poker chips frozen mid-bet. The schoolhouse has chalk dust older than your bloodline. Everything's preserved by the dry air and the collective guilt of the living. What's terrifying is how perfectly it captures a moment. Not the gold rush, but the hangover. Bodie is the sound of ambition collapsing under its own weight. You can feel the ghosts, Not because they're angry, but because they're bored. They just keep rehearsing the same tragedies. Greed, betrayal, loneliness. Eternal capitalism in sepia tone. You leave Bodhi feeling like you've been judged by a corpse with standards. Hashima Island, or Battleship Island, is a concrete fortress once used for coal mining, now abandoned and decaying in the sea. From a distance, it looks like a warship. Up close, it's worse. Every building is a crumbling rib cage. Every hallway a throat swallowing shadows. Hashima was once the most densely populated place on Earth. A tiny island stuffed with thousands of miners, their families, their ghosts in training. When the coal ran out, everyone left like a bad breakup. One day it was a hive of noise and neon. The next, silence. Total, suffocating silence. Now it stands there, a block of concrete surrounded by water that doesn't want it. Hashima's tragedy is industrial worship. Japan built it as an altar to progress, fed it human lives, and when the god of coal stopped answering prayers, they abandoned the temple. You walk through the ruins, and it feels like the walls are waiting for shift change. The empty beds still aligned, the kitchens rusted but ready, the laundry lines hanging like veins. And then there's the darkness, not just the absence of light, but the presence of it. A heavy, oily black that presses against you, humming softly, like the ocean's heartbeat echoing through the metal bones. Hashima isn't haunted in the traditional sense. It's haunted by repetition, the daily grind fossilized in the concrete. Some say the sea whispers around it, carrying the voices of the miners who never came home. I think that's optimistic. More likely, it's the island itself talking, jealous that the living forgot its name. Humberstone and Santa Laura are twin nitrate towns in Chile's Atacama Desert, abandoned relics of the industrial age, now baking quietly under a sky that never blinks. If Purgatory had a postal code, it would be somewhere between these two towns. Everything here feels sunburned and delirious, like reality itself dried up. The sand has swallowed entire playgrounds. The swings move, but there's no wind. The rusted machinery looks like it's been praying for death since the 1930s. Once, this place was chemical alchemy, nitrate for fertilizer, for explosives, the dust that fed and killed. Men came here for work and left in boxes, or didn't leave at all. When synthetic nitrate made the process obsolete, the desert reclaimed what was hers. Humberstone and Santa Laura didn't fall apart. They simply evaporated. The silence out there is surgical. You can hear your pulse, your breath, your thoughts begging you to go home. They say tourists feel dizzy, disoriented, as if the sun itself is mocking you, peeling away your sense of direction. But here's the kicker. Some of the old worker housing still has shoes lined up neatly by the door, like they're waiting, like they're on break, like they're going to clock back in any minute, and ask why you're standing there, sweating through your fear. Humberstone is a time capsule sealed in dust, the sound of capitalism gasping for air in the driest place on earth. You look at the cracked sign that still reads, Officina Humberstone, and realize it's not an office anymore. It's a tomb that learned how to tan. Kalmanskop is a German diamond mining town slowly being devoured by the Namib Desert. You know those dreams where you wake up in a house that's slowly filling with sand? Kalmanskop is that dream. Except the sand doesn't care if you wake up. Every building here is half buried, rooms drowning in gold-colored dust that moves like water, sneaking under doors, up staircases, into your lungs. At its height, Kalmanskop was absurdly luxurious. Ice from Europe, champagne in the desert, even an opera house. The Germans built a slice of Berlin in the middle of nowhere, like they could bully nature into submission. Nature responded, "Cute, try breathing now." Now. The houses look like melted pastries, the wallpaper peels like dried skin, and the pianos are half swallowed by dunes. You walk through it, and it's like time hiccuped. One moment you're in civilization, the next you're knee-deep in oblivion. What makes Kalmanskop haunting isn't the ghosts, it's the arrogance. Humanity built this place to defy nature, and nature just waited, patient and smug, until they turned their backs. The desert doesn't destroy, it digests. Slowly, beautifully, inevitably. Every photo of Kalmanskop looks romantic, almost cinematic. But if you listen closely, you can hear it. The whispering slide of sand against wood. like the town is exhaling its last breath, grain by grain. You start to think maybe the sand isn't just taking back the town. Maybe it's becoming it. Oradour-sur-Glane is a French village destroyed by Nazi troops in 1944, preserved exactly as it was left, as if time refused to touch the crime. This place isn't haunted. It is a haunting. They call it a memorial, but it feels more like a scream that got stuck in the air. Cars are still parked where they stopped. A sewing machine rusts in the same spot it was dropped. The church still smells like burned memory. The Nazis didn't just kill people here. They killed the idea of safety. They herded the women and children into the church, set it ablaze, shot the men in the square. When you walk through the remains, it's like the walls remember every second. They lean in close, listening, waiting for you to speak, but you don't. You can't. The silence is so heavy it feels alive. There's no tour guide voice that fits this place. The words "never forget" don't land softly here. They echo like a threat. Every window looks out onto nothing. Every street ends in the same question: how does something like this stay standing? France built a new Oradour nearby, but the old one remains untouched. A museum of horror that doesn't need exhibits. Just air, dust, and grief. You leave feeling like you should apologize, but you're not sure to who. The wind here doesn't sound like wind. It sounds like language trying to crawl back into the throat of the dead. Krakow is an ancient hilltop town in southern Italy, evacuated after landslides turned it into a geological nightmare. If you've ever seen a dream where gravity forgets how to behave, that's Krakow. The entire village clings to a cliffside like a spider web made of stone and denial. The buildings lean, the roads curve into oblivion, and the earth itself shifts like it's trying to shrug humanity off its back. Krakow was once alive, medieval walls, ringing bells, olive oil, and sunlight. Then the ground started moving, slowly, like a bored god tapping the table. People left one by one, then all at once, abandoning their kitchens, their prayers, their ghosts. Now it's just bones of architecture, windows without glass, staircases that end midair, church towers with no congregation but pigeons and gravity. The place is so cinematic it's been used in films, but what the cameras never capture is the sound it makes. The low groan of the earth beneath your feet, like it's laughing. You walk through Krakow and start to feel dizzy, like the horizon's tilting just for you. The air feels heavy with expectation, as if the town is daring you to stay a little longer, to see how long before the mountain decides your decoration. Krakow isn't just falling apart. It's falling forever. A suspended collapse. Beautiful, exhausted, and inevitable. Kayaköy is a ghost village in southwestern Turkey, once home to Greek Christians before they were expelled in 1923, leaving an entire hillside of empty homes. You know those moments when silence feels thick enough to chew? That's Kayaköy. Thousands of stone houses stare down at you, their windows black and unblinking, like sockets where civilization's eyes used to be. The weird part? It's beautiful. Too beautiful. The sun hits the ruins just right. The vines curl artistically over doorways, and you almost forget that this entire place is a wound. Then you step inside one of the houses, and the air changes, heavy, damp, claustrophobic. It smells like the breath of someone who's been waiting too long to speak. The story here isn't nuclear disaster or industrial collapse. It's bureaucracy, politics, a pen stroke that erased generations. The Greek residents were forced to leave during the population exchange, and the Turkish families who were meant to replace them never came. So the houses stood empty, waiting for ghosts that were never delivered. You walk the narrow alleys and hear everything that's missing. The prayers, the laughter, the clatter of dishes. Each house feels mid-sentence, interrupted. And you start to wonder, if a town loses its people but keeps its name, is it still alive? Or is it just pretending? Kayaköy is too polite to scare you outright. It doesn't whisper or scream. It just stares. It's the kind of place that doesn't need to haunt you. It knows you'll do that yourself when you leave. Varosha is a seaside resort city in Cyprus, abandoned after Turkish invasion in 1974. Frozen in time behind military fences, where the waves still gossip about luxury and loss. If you ever want to know what it feels like to see time embarrassed, go to Varosha. The place doesn't decay like other ghost towns. It blushes. It stands there, ashamed of its own beauty, covered in dust like a fallen movie star, wearing yesterday's mascara. Once, it was the kind of paradise that made postcards jealous. Sunlight so bright it made you forget about war. Cocktails with umbrellas that pretended the world wasn't crumbling beyond the shoreline. Then, overnight, silence. The kind that doesn't fade, just multiplies. The evacuation was chaos disguised as order. Tourists dropping half-eaten fruit, maids leaving linens half-folded, the city pausing mid-sentence. It's like God hit pause on a VHS tape in 1974 and never pressed play again. Behind the fences, there are dresses still hanging in boutiques, elevators rusted mid-floor, refrigerators full of fossilized milk. Everything looks exactly as it should, except for the absence of heartbeat. They call Varosha the Forbidden City. You can see it but not touch it. The ultimate tease. Barbed wire laces through paradise. Signs warn, keep out, military zone. And the sea just laughs, lapping at the shore like a cat that knows where the bodies are buried. Locals say the ocean whispers secrets at night, murmuring names of the ones who never came back for their sunglasses, their lovers, their unfinished lives. What makes Varosha terrifying isn't violence. It's stillness, the kind that rots slowly. The sun still shines here, but it feels cruel, like it's mocking the ghosts of tan lines. The hotels have balconies where no one ever came back for their towels. The chandeliers hold dust the way old people hold grudges. The mannequins in shop windows still grin with cracked lips, eternally advertising happiness to no one. And somewhere in there, under all the salt and silence, the electricity hums. Power lines still twitch with forgotten current, as if the city might wake up any second, like a corpse dreaming of resurrection. Walk close enough to the fence, and you can smell nostalgia, that chemical mix of perfume, salt, and rotting upholstery. It's intoxicating in a way that makes you want to look away and keep staring at the same time. The air carries echoes of music from a hotel lounge that hasn't existed for half a century. You can almost hear the piano, the same song looping endlessly, waiting for a hand that will never press another key. What really gets under your skin is how normal it all feels. Not ruined, paused. The buildings lean slightly. The palm trees twist through cracks in pavement, but it doesn't look destroyed. It looks expectant, like it's still waiting for the tourists to come back, for someone to check in, for someone to open a window and say, "Finally, we're home." Varosha is a time capsule that refuses to accept it's been buried. It sits there behind the barbed wire, still dreaming of suntan lotion and champagne, pretending the invasion was just a bad weekend. Every photo taken through the fence looks like a hallucination. Sky too blue, sea too calm, streets too empty. The city looks bored, like it knows it's beautiful, and it's furious that no one's watching. Some soldiers who guard the perimeter say they've seen lights flicker in the hotels at night, elevators moving, curtains shifting. The official story is wind and reflection. The unofficial one, she's restless. The city's feminine now, a jealous bride left at the altar, pacing the corridors of her own perfection. And the strangest thing, nature hasn't completely reclaimed Varosha. There are no vines crawling up the walls like in other ruins. The plants hesitate, as if they, too, respect the boundary. Even decay is afraid to enter. The sand creeps in softly, politely. The sea erases footprints seconds after they form. The city demands to remain untouched. You stand there, face pressed against the wire, and realize what makes Varosha unique. It's not haunted by the dead. It's haunted by the living, by the people who remember it, who dream about their old balconies, who still have the keys to doors that don't exist anymore. Those memories have nowhere to go, so they hover here, like smoke. It's funny, in a tragic way. Humanity keeps trying to move on, but Varosha won't let us. It's the world's most stubborn ghost, whispering, "Look what you left behind. Look what you did to beauty." It's not angry, just disappointed. And every so often, when negotiations flare up, people start talking about reopening it. Redevelopment plans, luxury resorts, investors with dollar signs in their eyes. They'll say things like economic potential and symbolic restoration, as if you can polish trauma and sell it back to tourists, as if grief can be monetized with beachfront access. But the locals, The ones who live there, the ones whose grandparents fled barefoot, leaving their wedding rings behind. They say something else. They say the town doesn't want to come back, that it likes being dead, that if you rebuild it, the sea will swallow it whole. And honestly, I believe them, because when you look into Varosha long enough, you start to feel like it's looking back, judging, measuring your pulse, waiting for the exact moment your curiosity turns into guilt. The scariest part isn't that it's empty, it's that it's perfectly preserved. Because when something doesn't decay, it means it hasn't forgiven you yet. So you turn away, you step back from the fence, you tell yourself it's just another ghost town, just another relic. But somewhere deep down, you know the truth. Varosha isn't gone, it's just waiting. And someday, when the sun hits the right angle and the wind carries the right song, maybe, just maybe, it'll decide to open its doors again. Not for the living, but for the ones who never checked out. Varosha doesn't need your fear or your pity. It just wants you to remember that paradise doesn't die. It just stops answering the phone.